Hey, what's up, everybody? I am Dan Walker with the Eggheads DFS. I wanted to jump on here and just do a quick rundown of kind of the content we provide, the lines we provide each night, how to play those, what you should play them in. Um, just kind of walk through my process and I guess the overall best way you can get value out of using our lines and our content and how to be successful long term with what we provide. So this is going to be tailored and specifically to what we provide and what we play each night. So I'll give a quick rundown of that. So each night we have NHL and we have NBA. So we do one cash line for each sport for each site. So we have one DraftKings NBA line, one DraftKings NHL line, one DraftKings NHL line, one FanDuel NHL line. So one cash line for each site per each sport. So that's 4 total each night. And I'll really just touch on NBA and NHL because those do happen every single night. So what I'll do here is I'll bring up, I guess, my entries for tonight. So I'll start with DraftKings, and I'll start with DraftKings basketball, and we'll kind of go from there. So here's kind of my entries for tonight. So what we do at Eggheads DFS, so we provide a cash line, like I mentioned, but we also do 2 GPPs for DraftKings NBA. The reason we do the 2 GPPs and not one like we do on FanDuel, which I'll touch on in a minute, is because there's multiple position eligibility or MPE. And that just means that, for instance, you might have someone at shooting guard, small forward. You might have someone at small forward, power forward, center. And there's also utility on DraftKings. So it gives you more options to create more lines and more variants. So, we do the 2 GPP lines that Chris sends out, and he posts those in the chat. So what I do every morning is I reserve my contest for the cash line. So I'll do the double ups, 50-50s, all that good stuff. But I also throw it into a couple single entry GPPs that you'll see here. The reason I do that is because double ups and 50-50s are capped, meaning if you play a $5 double up, you can only make $10. Whereas if I play this $2 single entry GPP and the cash line goes off, I could win $500. You don't want to not join one of these. You need to make sure you're putting the cash line in any site, in any sport, in at least one single entry GPP. And it doesn't have to be, if you're playing $50 in cash, don't put it in a $50 single entry GPP. I do an 80-20 ratio. So I play 80% cash and 20% GPP. So if I have, I don't know, $80 in cash games here, I have $17 in my GPPs and then 3 more in here. So that's my 20 for GPPs. The 2 GPP lines, I do that $20 to make that up. So I play the $12 and $5. And this is based off if you're playing $100. So if you're playing 50, just divide that in half and do the same ratio. So just kind of an easier way to use 100 because it's easier to divide everything by. But as you can see, one cash line for DraftKings NBA, 2 GPPs, and I also throw the cash line in some single entry GPPs. But I only play single entry GPPs, whether it's Chris's GPP line that he posts or my cash line. The reason I do that is everybody has one shot, and it's easier to put together a line, and you're not playing a 50 man or a 50 entry, tournament, and you have one lineup in it. So I would stick to the single entry GPPs. I do this every morning. I either reserve the contest and then I just enter Chris's lines that he posts in the chat into here when it comes out, or I do a dummy line like you see here, which is not my lineup for tonight, and I simply take the cash line that I post and change this and hit submit on DraftKings. So that's kind of a rundown of that. So for NBA DraftKings, just to review, we do 2 GPPs, 1 cash line. Always throw the cash line in a single entry GPP as well. For FanDuel NBA, I do the same thing with my cash line. So I join 50-50s, double ups, whatever it may be, and I also throw it into a couple single entry GPPs over there as well. And then FanDuel NBA, we do 1 GPP line. I actually have two highlighted here because I'm going to take the one line and throw it into both. But we only do one FanDuel NBA GPP line. And the reason for that is the GPP line that I provide is a lot of times just a pivot line. So if I'm doing a solid cash line on FanDuel that I give you guys and girls, I'll typically, if I'm playing Drew Holiday in my cash line, I'll pivot off Drew Holiday and play Devin Booker in my GPP. That just helps me get some leverage. And since it's a single entry GPP, you're still going to have some cheap, value guys like Belitza and Crawford, that may be cash game locks, but they're also good for GPPs because they're just too cheap for what they can do. So quick recap of that. Same format, same percentage. I play 80-20, 80 cash, 20 GPP. One FanDuel GPP line, one cash line. Hockey, we do cash line for both sites. And this is FanDuel NHL. So I do kind of the same ratio. I play a lot of cash, a lot of double ups, cash line in a single entry GPP just in case, like usual. And then one FanDuel NHL GPP. Chris does this line and he'll post it in the chat as well. The reason we do a FanDuel GPP and not a DraftKings GPP is mainly because DraftKings is kind of like NBA, but it works against you. So in DraftKings, there's multiple positions that you can play, but there's also a utility spot. And DraftKings in NHL is a lot of stacking. So for NHL and FanDuel, we do a GPP on NHL FanDuel because you can get a more solid line by stacking a couple teams. And you can also get a little riskier with your goalie, and there's no utility. So there's less wiggle room, I guess, for everybody to play whoever they want and stack a line. So for NHL FanDuel, we do the cash line and a GPP. For NHL DraftKings, we only do the cash line, 0 GPPs. So I guess a quick summary of that would be, DraftKings NBA, cash line, 2 GPPs. FanDuel NBA, 1 cash line, 1 GPP. NHL FanDuel, 1 cash line, 1 GPP. DraftKings NHL, 1 cash line, 0 GPPs. So that's kind of a rundown of what we do. That's how you can reserve every day. I do want to say, I stick to the 80-20, and I only play about 5%, maybe 10% of my bankroll each night. I do play less in NHL, but that's mainly just because there's not as many contests to join. I believe NHL, last I checked, we're 6-1 on both DraftKings and FanDuel the last 7. I believe we are 8-2 the last 10 on both sites. And the GPP for FanDuel won someone $1,000, I think, on Saturday, and someone won playoff tickets. So I'll finish with, try to play every line, every sport that we can. That is how you get the most consistency. That's how you see the most ROI from the products we offer. And it's also, fair to us because you're playing everything we offer and you're paying us for those sports. So play the lines. If you're busy and you can't play it, I understand. But to be consistent and to judge us fairly, and for us to have you be happy as a subscriber, we want you to play everything that we provide, and we want you to win. We play the same lines you do. We have the same content you do. We're players, we're providers, but we're players. So we want everybody to do well. And if you have questions and you're new, you can always, direct message myself or Chris. You can always post stuff in the chat. I will encourage new people. If you have questions, just ask it in the chat. I know there's sometimes, it's a new chat and there's a fear of maybe a stupid question or getting ridiculed, but there are no stupid questions. We're all here to help each other. We're all here to win. So, post your questions if you have them. Be positive in the chat. Obviously, we have a lot of great people in the chat. Everybody wants everybody to do well. So, like I said, if you have questions, if you need a screenshot of my entries like I just showed you in the Excel forms, just let me know. I can screenshot my DK and show you how I have the 2 GPPs in one line or in one entry each. I have the cash line and, a couple single entry GPPs and double ups. Chris and I are here to help. We're happy to have everybody. Thank you so much for everybody that's been joining. Thank you to the people that have been here for over a month now, about a month and a half. We've had some really good success. I hope you guys have been successful as well. we're excited going forward, and you know, we really like doing this, and we're happy with the people we have, and you know, we're excited for where it goes from here. And we'll get it tonight. We'll get after it. And if you have any questions, like I said, hit us up on Twitter at DFS Eggheads or in the Slack chat. If you have questions, DM me or Chris, or just post in the chat. Thanks, guys and girls, and good luck tonight. Thanks.